everyone. Welcome to my short sandbag tutorial. So in yoga, we use sandbags. Not a lot, but when we do, they're pretty powerful. So this is a sandbag. For those of you who are local, I do have a few left over, and I'll tell you how and when to get them after this. But this is a sandbag. So pretty much what it is inside there is a pillow, and that pillow has been filled up with sand, and then it has a cover case. So the cover case can come off so that you can wash it, which is nice. Little, handle, which is great. And you can determine how heavy it is. Why? Why did somebody one day say, I need a sandbag in my yoga practice? We set in a really, really good time and place and opportunity for us to pull out our sandbags. Because of the pandemic, you may be seeing and feeling, so you yourself see and feel a certain way, as well as outwardly you are feeling and seeing this, like, right? Lots of scatteredness, a lot of people being ungrounded because of not knowing where we are physically, mentally, and emotionally. So physically, when you're not grounded, you might find yourself wiggling a lot, or when you get to bed, you can't find that steady place to rest. You're just like, you're so busy. This is ungrounded. I'm so busy. I'm always doing, right? I can't. And when I do, and I'm asked to sit still, I just want to run away, right? So that's a state of being ungrounded physically, mentally, and emotionally. Mentally, when you're ungrounded, you're all up in your head. So you're wrapped up in the feelings, being scattered all over the place. Like you have a really hard time focusing. Clarity, there is none. You're in fog, right? So when things are asked of you, you can't pinpoint. You can't make a decision. You can't find the answers. You put your keys in the freezer. It's that state of being ungrounded in your mind. Emotions, you could be crying for you don't know what reason at any point of the day. You could start laughing for the most inappropriate things, right? So being ungrounded, you'll find these kind of erratic states, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So here we sit in a pandemic, and we're seeing a lot of that. A lot of ungrounded. It's almost like this like, I don't know, it's kind of crazy. So the sandbag is really neat because you can use it whether you're doing one pose or multiple poses. And if you are online with me, you can do them in yoga nidra, or use the sandbag in yoga nidra, restorative postures, as well as the yin postures. So this is me empowering you to know when to use the sandbag. The sandbag adds weight. So again, remember, being ungrounded, you're like jittery. You're like never in one place at one time. Your mind is all over, it's scattered, right? So we're putting physical weight on your body to help ground you. Think about it. When you're all sorts of scattered and someone that you trust gives you a huge bear hug, sometimes you melt. You just collapse. You become liquid, right? So think of your sandbag as doing that same thing. It grounds you so that, number one, you get to feel where you are. So it's emotionally can be a very vulnerable state that you place yourself in. It's so needed. It's so important. So I'm going to show you some of the postures that you might find yourself wanting to use this. In seated postures, let's say we're doing a seated forward fold in a yin class. Seated forward fold in a yin class, the legs move straight out. Some of you might have bent knees because your hamstrings are slightly tight, right? So you might place blocks underneath them. And in yin, the active place is allowing your feet to look up. You're not flexing your feet, you're just letting your toes look up. But what happens is after holding this posture for 5 minutes, we get really relaxed. And in yin, we're allowing ourselves to stimulate energy along meridian lines. So this is where if you place your sandbag evenly across your ankles on top, it's much harder. It's actually impossible to let those feet open out and down in your hip points, in your pelvis. It just won't happen. So this grounds you in being okay in this bowing place, right? So another place that you can utilize it is, let's say we're doing Janu Shavasana. So one leg extends forward and one sole of your foot comes to the inside and the knee opens out. You can place this bag up towards your hip point, not towards your knee. Knee is a joint. Joints are really, really important. So make sure you never place the sandbag on a joint. Think of yourself placing it higher up so that you can actually feel that sense of anchoring down underneath your sit bones, then allowing yourself to forward fold here. Again, it might look, if your hamstrings are tight, this is maybe where you would be. Maybe you're up here because this is where you're at. It's okay, right? But it's about finding that space of, I'm feeling grounded. Your hips are your junk drawer. We carry our emotions in your hips, which means hips and low back, right? So if you find you're really tight and struggle in those two areas, get out your bag. It's really nice. Another thing that's really cool is that when you're lying on your back, you can use it. So, Shavasana, the main pose that everybody goes to yoga for, the last pose where we allow ourselves to relax, open and down, taking your bag and placing it across the tops of your hips, and then letting the arms go out. You're just going to feel that little bit of weight downward, and it really creates comfort. You can also have this sit here when you have the soles of your feet together and the knees open wide. Again, some of you, depending on how you wear your hips, blocks might go underneath your legs here. Okay? Another posture that I think a lot of people like to go to, it is probably one of my go-to postures when I'm feeling really unclear, is child's pose or balasana. And there's something to be said about moving into darkness. Why run away from it? Get to know it so we can move through it, right? So when I'm feeling really, really kind of crazy, I do two things. Number one is I lay down in Shavasana, and number two, I curl into a little ball. And so when you come into your Shavasana, you're taking your bag, placing it on your low back, okay? And then allowing yourself to forward fold. If you have another person in your house that can help you, place it, absolutely. Right? Some of you might, because of how you're anatomically built, have the block here to keep your neck safe. Don't do this. Right? Don't drop your neck. Don't overextend it. Okay? Give it a little prop. And this way you can rest here in the space of ease. I think one of the beautiful things about understanding that when we do our yoga practice, there's challenge, but don't push, right? We're pushed enough when we're out in the world, so don't push yourself when you're in your practice. Push yourself maybe to not stop. That makes sense if you're falling out too easily, too quickly, because that's a quitting thing. If you find that you have a hard time finishing projects, maybe you're really good at starting a lot of projects, but you're never good at finishing projects. That's where you can utilize your practice. Try to stay in the practice as long as you can. Lastly, one of my favorite ways to use the sandbag, if you have trouble sleeping at night, I've done a tutorial on this. Legs up the wall, so Vipariti Karani. So you try to get as close to the wall as you can, and the legs will go up. Now, the sandbag can go one of two places. Again, as close to the hip points as you can. And I'll warn you, when you place this towards your hip points, if you always go to the bathroom, pee, before you practice, because as soon as you do this, you're gonna be like, okay, gotta go. So yeah, take care of that. As you're putting weight there, so in essence, you've got that sense of grounding going on, pushing. The other place is the soles of your feet. And again, if you have somebody in your house that can help you place it, if you don't feel safe doing it on your own, please utilize the people in your home. So here I have it evenly dispersed on the soles of my feet. My soles of the feet are looking towards the ceiling. My knees can be as bent as they need to be to keep my hamstrings and my low back safe, okay? So depending on your flexibility will depend on how straight your legs are, okay? But this right here, what it does is it allows your nervous system to just chill. Relax. So when you go to bed and you're not relaxed, instead of stewing in bed, moaning and groaning, waiting, looking at the clock, checking on your phone, go ahead and do this legs up the wall thing. And if you have your sandbag, get it out. Spend 5 minutes here. There's no real too much time going upside down in Vipariti Karani, because there's not a whole lot of effort, if anything. If you have your bag, just be present. Notice how you feel. So, wondering if any of you guys have any questions here. Let me go through the feed. So glad you guys made it. It looks like we're all good. So with that, if you have any questions about other uses for this sandbag, go ahead and leave those comments and questions in the feed. For those of you who are local and still need to purchase one, I do have a few. They're $6 each, and I will go ahead and post the next time I will be in town so that you can pick yours up. From this, you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you well. I wish you space to ground, to rise, so that you might feel a little lighter in your head. A whole lot more clarity of where and how you are. Use that sandbag. Many blessings to you all. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Peace, peace, everyone.